Hey, what's up everyone, CTNtechnologynews here, and today I've got something really exciting for you. I'm giving you a first look at the ultimate hybrid console that never actually released. So before I actually talk about the console, let me give you a little bit of background so you can understand why it came to be. In the 1980s, the gaming industry was dominated by Nintendo and the Super NES, and by 1990, Nintendo accounted for 90% of America's $3 billion video game sector. But 4 years later, a new company called Sega had leapfrogged it, thanks to the popularity of the Genesis, and suddenly Nintendo's monopoly on video games was under threat. Third-party publishers did not sign exclusivity agreements for the NES system, and instead started releasing games on both consoles, or even worse for Nintendo, just on the Mega Drive. Sega took advantage by positioning itself as the cool consumer electronics device, the sleek living room accessory a world apart from Nintendo's brightly colored toys. So it's understandable that by the mid-1990s, Nintendo was desperate to recapture their popularity in whatever way possible, and thus the Nintendo PlayStation was born. So that's right, in the early 1990s, Nintendo and Sony had been working together on a hybrid console that would add CD capabilities to the Super NES. There would also be a separate Sony console that would play SNES cartridge games and titles for the SNES CD system, and that would be called the PlayStation. Now, as the story goes, the deal went sour when Nintendo instead announced a partnership with Sony's competitor, Philips, for the optical add-on at the same CES that Sony unveiled its Nintendo-centric PlayStation. Now, the rest is history until this last weekend. Obviously, Nintendo and Sony never actually released a Nintendo PlayStation to the public, but just the other day, Reddit user AnalogBoy posted pictures of what looks like a prototype of the original PlayStation. He said it was in a box of his dad's junk, and apparently his father had actually worked at a company with an Olaf Olafsson who had been employed by Nintendo and left the console behind in a box of rummage. Now, this console really doesn't appear to be a fake, since it looks very similar to the original prototypes of the Nintendo PlayStation. It doesn't have a power cable, and this guy is wary of plugging anything into the console for fear of accidentally destroying it. It does have a game cartridge in the box though, as well as a CD-ROM, although he says he hasn't tested out either one just yet. As you can see, the controller looks like a Super Nintendo gamepad with Sony PlayStation branding, and the console actually looks pretty futuristic for its time. It's almost enough to make you wish that things hadn't worked out as they did, and Sony and Nintendo had kept collaborating on gaming consoles in the future. But let me know what you think of this console in the comments below. Let me know if you like the look of it and you actually wish it had gone public, or whether you're grateful for the way things did turn out and the fact that Nintendo and Sony kept on working on their own separate consoles. Also, be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and you want me to do more gaming history videos like this in the future. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, so I will see you next time.